也会从这两个人中间鱼贯而入，进入到一会儿大家也会从这两个人中间鱼贯而入，进入到九曲黄河灯阵之中。可能说到这个。 为什么要去排这样一个灯阵？它有什么的寓意？有什么的故事与传说？待会儿也会再讲。在璀璨的烟花之下，九曲黄河灯阵365盏灯，现在已经全部点亮。365盏灯代表着。 的365天，观众比较多，所以说我们的流畅，我们尽量去选择一些这个信号比较稳定的地方。大家点亮了。 的美好愿望，光明灿烂的好日子，这也寄托着对美好生活的向往。是规模最大的一次。看到的这个九曲黄河灯阵是2018年底才完成的，也是第一次点亮这么巨大的灯阵。 刚才在等待直播的过程中，还感觉到戈壁滩上还是非常的寒冷。但实际上，当灯点亮的时候，当烟花绽放的时候，我们感觉特别热闹。好的，启灯仪式呢，现在那待会儿呢，灯阵之前还会有热闹的社火表演。
Can give us a warm atmosphere for Spring Festival. Ordinary people here, and you can see the lights in different colors. And here, if you take a different perspective, you can see that many people are holding their lights. And we have so many people participating in this event. And now we have the performance of the firework, and we have also the performance of ordinary people, which is held every year to celebrate the oven fire. And this event is a platform to pass down the traditional culture in the modern age. And today we have the Jiuqu Yellow River Light Array, the inauguration event, and it can show the passing down of traditional culture and the sustainable development of such culture. And now we can see the different kind of performance which has a long history. For different localities, these performances vary, and we can see they have different meanings. And for today's show, we have invited the local expert to watch the performance and to explain. And "社火" in Chinese, and in English we may explain it as club fire, and it is a traditional celebration. And I am the expert in passing down traditional activities. And today we have the club fire performance. So it is of a long time. According to our understanding, we can say that from Qing Dynasty, this event has been passed down for more than 300 years. And what is the name? It is the traditional fire performance in Gansu locality. And some people are standing with very high-heeled shoes, and we have various kinds of costumes and makeups. So what do these kind of decorations stand for? We have different costumes, the folk dance, folk songs, and different kind of traditional cultural elements. And you can see some kind of performance represent a good harvest. And we can see a lot of people in the high-heeled shoes, very high-heeled shoes. In Chinese, we talk about stilts. And they are the characters in certain Chinese opera, Chinese drama, such as different kind of gods and goddesses passing the ocean for the choose or for the classic. And for here we have different kind of drama, and we can see this performance can reflect both the traditional and modern culture as well as traditional and modern literature. And here you can see we have different kind of elements. So, such as the actually the sheep head, different shape, work facilities. These kind of things all reflect the daily life. And what is the story in this performance? It represents a traditional story of actually seeking harvest and people helping each other. So maybe we have different kind of traditional stories in this performance and different folklores in this performance. Maybe we have the war fire. So the two parties of the war taking about 100 people. And we have different kind of techniques, such as setting up a trap. Therefore, your opposite side knows that you have this trap, and the opposite side may have different tackling techniques and skills. Previously, there was one hero who might be victimized, and the ordinary people may help this hero to get out of town to escape the persecution. And this kind of animals and costumes were used to help this hero to get out of town. And in Gansu, we have various kind of activities and performances in terms of the club fire performance. We have different categories. Different localities have different characteristics. So for the past a few hundred years, the club fire has become a part of the traditional habit and customs. And it is also an important part for the culture of Gansu. And we have different kind of cultural element. If you observe the performance, you can see these cultural elements. Now, if you see this performance, this boat shape, it represents about people marrying each other. This kind of habit in the ordinary people's life. Previously, during Spring Festival, would there be similar performances? Yes, the ordinary people wanted to participate in such kind of activities. But for the activities of such a scale, it is for the past few decades because we had good days and good lives. So you can see this kind of performance. Maybe it is about harvest because we can see the modern elements. So this is also a part of our culture here. So it represents the agricultural culture, people holding the plowing facilities. And it shows the people's wishes for a good year, a smooth year. And you can see this performance, it is about marrying a woman. During the marriage ceremony, during the wedding ceremony, you can see such a kind of scene. And now we can see it is also the element of the local culture, and you can see the grains here on this kind of and you can see also this is for the ordinary people to tend the farmland, and these are all the scenes for people's daily work. So for this part of the performance, maybe it has more modern element. We can see where the development of the society, the culture changes, and the performance change along with this culture. And just now we have seen old-fashioned performance, and now you can see the performance is modern. And for this kind of arrangement, so what are people's ideas behind this kind of arrangement? We can see the new performance relies on the old culture, old arrangement. But for the new part, we actually add about the agricultural element. And for this kind of arrangement, it is to show that we combine the traditional performance with the modern element, with modern agriculture. We can see the traditional club fire has been widespread in the local community. For each spring, we have such kind of celebration. And for the new element, it is also to actually combine this kind of agricultural development with this kind of old form of performance. You can see this kind of new style, new element. It is in the form of younger dance, a traditional Chinese folk dance. And this kind of new arrangement is in line with our effort to build a new countryside for China, this kind of new drives. And it also represents people's willingness for a better life. And behind this performance, we have people's willingness and people's aspiration for a better life. And you can also see people are having a better life. And through the new era and new life, we are living better and better lives each day. And just in a second, we are beginning to witness the light array. And now we are waiting and trying to see what will be the splendid scene. You can see on the spot, we have the people beating the drums, and now we are seeing the beginning of the light array. And now we can see that the performance of club fire will lead us to the light array scene. And for today, we have also invited the local expert to go with us to actually show you the light array. And for the light array, we have about more than 2 kilometers long. And would you introduce yourself about your clothes? So this is the traditional clothes for the Han nationality. And it is also in line with the light array arrangement. And so you may introduce to us what are the highlights for today's light array. And for the Jiuqu Yellow River light array, it is about a bagua shape. We have the different curves, different shapes. It shows that life is a one-direction journey. And in this kind of journey, we have different kind of ups and downs. And we can see to go with the light array, we show our aspiration for a better year, for a smoother year for the next year. So if we follow the light performance, the light array, we can go. So now we can see the club fire performers. They will enter first and they will lead our way. And we have about 365 lights in this array. So it is in the bagua shape, the 8 trigrams shape. We have altogether 365 lights, which represent 365 days in a year. And it also represents 365 nights of 1 year. And we may follow the performers to come into the light array. And we have also invited local experts to introduce to us. I'm Hu Yonghui from Gansu Academy of National Culture. I will introduce to you about the Jiuqu Yellow River light array, which begins in Qin and Han Dynasty, and it prospered during the Ming and Qing Dynasty. It has a history of more than 100 years. It combined different cultures, different religions in traditional Chinese development. You can see the huge crowd at the entrance. So today, we have so many people on the spot. And for the first ever light array, the inauguration event, it is a huge challenge. And maybe we have certain confusion in terms of so many people. We hope that all things can go in a smooth way. People are passionate. And we can see not only adults but also children on the spot. I was pushed in even just now. And dear audience, would you be a little bit more patient because there are so many people here? And I am a little bit far away from our cameraman, so you can see the live images. And when we actually get together with our camera personnel and the expert, we can have a more detailed introduction.
监控室门都是进去了吗？对对，那边的就是休息室的那边的啊。这会儿挤出去的概率有多大？
因为这个灯阵呢，它是一个阵，所以进来了以后，实际上它的玩法呢，就是要像迷宫一样去找到出，同时去观赏。
It is a different kind of shape and different kind of arrangement. So if you enter into the array, you can walk in different directions. But now we have so many audiences, so many people. Very passionate about this kind of inauguration event. So as people are waiting, we want to introduce about the light array as a very important traditional cultural event, which is much participated by the local people. So we continue with our live broadcast. Just now, we can see that we have about 20,000 audience coming in, and for the pathway of this light array, you can say it is like a puzzle area, and we can see there is congestion. And just now, I was separated with my camera personnel, and may I just remind the organizer for the next time, maybe there should be a limit on the audience to enter into this kind of light array. And now we continue with the live broadcast, and we enter into the light array. We talk about 365 lights. These lights may seem simple. We are not only seeing these lights, we have also a kind of array or arrangement. And why we talk about the arrangement? Because this kind of light array is like a labyrinth, and it is believed and mentioned by the local people that if we go through this light array, it is a kind of a praying for good luck. Now we enter into the light array. For newcomers, what are the highlights and what are the priorities? So you can look on the floor. We have red and yellow, two colors. Red represents the fire god, and yellow represents the land god. And for the whole Yellow River, we have this culture originates from the 社火 or club fire culture, and this kind of club fire performance worship about the land and fire gods at the very beginning. And if you look at the light walls, we have the fairy tales, the historical folklores in the Zhangye locality. And on the wall, you can see the traditional folklore about the gods, the creation of gods. And these kind of folklores are closely related to the local history. And for the light array, if you walk through, it is about 2.4 kilometers. And as for our speed, maybe you need to spend about 40 minutes to 1 hour to walk through. And now we can see the first section and first palace, which is to worship Guan Yu, the god of force and wealth in Chinese culture. And Guan Yu, this god, is important for both Buddhism and Taoism, as well as the Confucianism. And for this palace, it worships Guan Yu. In Taoism, Guan Yu represents the god of wealth, and in Confucianism, we can say we also hold high esteem of Guan Yu. And we have this arrangement according to Taoism tradition. We have 8 trigrams of east, west, south, north, southeast, southwest, northeast, northwest, these kind of 8 places. And we enter into the second palace. The second palace represents the highest god of Taoism. And you can see for this palace, it is higher because for this god, it is the highest in the Taoism tradition. And we can say we have different palaces worshipping the gods in Taoism, Buddhism, and Confucianism. And for the light array, we combine 3 cultures of Taoism, Buddhism, and Confucianism. And we can see the people are walking this light array, walking this kind of arrangement. And for ordinary people to walk through this array, it is believed that people will have a smooth ear. And if you walk through this array, you can only follow the direction of the lights. You cannot walk back, and you cannot walk through the barriers. Otherwise, you may have a bad ear. And for Jiuqu light array, it represents a traditional philosophy. On the surface, people are working in straight direction. But if you walk for some time, you can see there's no way ahead and you need to change direction. For people's lives, things are similar. No one has a straightforward life. Everyone will encounter turns and twists, and everyone needs to learn a new way of life. And for this kind of light array, it shows this kind of traditional philosophy. And the earliest Yellow River light array does not have so many lights. In Zhangye, we only had 18 lights, representing 18 wishes of ordinary people. But now we have 365 lights. which represent 365 days. And to have these many lights, it shows that people want to have every day as safe and happy. And now we can see we have more and more people. So we may follow where the people are going, or we may wait a little bit. And for this light array, so what are the proper directions? We have this guide, and this array is in the shape of a bagua. And if we talk about these lights as an array, we can see the origin came from military purpose. Traditionally, the different militaries will have different arrays, different arrangements of their army. So after that, they can fight. So we can say the light array combines military culture and the worship culture, religion culture. And this is also a part of the culture and customs of Zhangye people. And if we talk about a guide, it is an explanation for this kind of bagua arrangement. If you follow the direction, you will not be lost. Otherwise, you will be lost here. And the philosophy underlying this is that for your life, sometimes you will get lost. As long as you have a grasp on the principles of life, you can have a smooth life. So this kind of array shows such a philosophy. For today, we have about 150 mu in total area. And we can only go in this direction. For us to walk this array, we can watch the lights and we can read and observe the stories on the walls. And there is one outstanding characteristic for this light array. People can appreciate the lights, and people can also observe the local folklores on the light walls. We represent the 24 solar terms, zodiac signs, and we have the folklores, the journey to the west, etc. on these light walls. We have the legends, fairy tales on the light walls, which actually show ordinary people's beliefs and understanding for daily work and for their love, their life. And on the light walls, we can see the story for the creation of gods. In Chinese, we say 封神演义, which means the creation of gods. And this kind of novel, this fairy tale, was created during the Ming Dynasty. And we can say there was a goddess playing and planning this kind of array along the Yellow River. And we can say that for ancient China, we have such a goddess which will preside over people's marriage and people's birth. So in old China, when people do not have their children, they will go to the temple of this goddess to pray for a baby. So you can see these kind of stories on the light walls, which show different plots for the creation of gods for this kind of fairy tale. And apart from that, we have also the stories from the Three Kingdoms, 三国演义. So we have altogether 9 palaces here in this array, and for each palace we have one god. And on the light walls we have the stories related to the respective god of respective palace. Just now we see the palace of Guan Yu, the god of war and wealth, and on the light walls we can also see the stories of Guan Yu. You cannot walk back, which represent bad luck, and you cannot walk through the barrier, walk through the walls, because it is not good luck. If you walk through the Yellow River Light Array, people believe that you can have a smooth year, according to ordinary people's belief. But if you walk back, it is against the nature, against God's will, and you will suffer. And you are now walking in the straightforward direction. If you say you want to walk back or walk through the barrier, it means you want to seek a shortcut. But in life, we do not have shortcut. So this is also a philosophy underlying the light array. For the Jiuqu Yellow River Light Array, it has more than 1,000 years of history. What is the origin? For this array, it was not created on one specific time. It was born during the Lantern Festival of Qin and Han dynasties, and with development we have the combination of military purpose culture, and then we also add the Buddhism element. And Buddhism was introduced into China during the East Han dynasty, and there is one emperor who stipulates that on the Lantern Festival, every family will light lights. Originally, it was to worship Buddha. The worship activity expanded from the imperial family to the local community. During the Lantern Festival, local people would light their lights, and the purpose is to light people's life in front of you. And you can see there are 365 lights, and each light was to show the worship for one god. And you can see on each light we have one god, and we have 365 gods altogether. And these gods altogether will help you, which will represent a smooth year for you. And if you walk through the light array, it shows a peaceful, harmonious year for the country and also for people, for individuals. And for this light array, it is not only in Gansu. We have this array in other places. So along the Yellow River, different provinces, 9 provinces have Yellow River light array, but different localities have different traditions. So for Yellow River light array, we have different kind of cultural elements. And in Zhangye, we have the local characteristics. And now we can see the light walls related to a pig figure called Jiuqu in the pilgrimage to the west. First of all, this year is the year of pig. And secondly, we can say in the pilgrimage to the west, Jiuqu, the pig figure, was born in Gaolaozhuang, and Gaolaozhuang is in Zhangye. And we can say that in this novel, Pilgrimage to the West, Zhangye was lazy, but in the local culture, we can say Zhangye is a hardworking figure. And in Zhangye, Zhangye is respected and loved by the local people. So you can see in this light array, we can see the stories of Zhangye on the light walls. Of both sides, we can see the stories of Zhangye. And for this year, it is the year of pig. We have just finished 2 palaces, and altogether we have 9 palaces in this array. So what are the gods worshipped in these palaces? The gods of Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism. All these kind of gods are worshipped in this kind of light array. So no matter what kind of culture you believe in, you can find your god in the light array. From the Taoist perspective, you can find the god of wealth, and from the Buddhist perspective, you can find Buddha. And you can also find historical figure related closely to Zhangye. And this is Ban Chao. We can say during the Han Dynasty, Zhangye was incorporated into the mainland, the central authority, and Han Dynasty was expanded westward, and Zhangye became an important locality. And Ban Chao was governor for the western area, and Ban Chao was so important for the development of Zhangye. And on this wall, we have the story of Ban Chao. And what are similar figures? In Zhangye, we have also the stories related to the Silk Road. And we have also the stories of the politicians, militarists, and cultural personnel who have contributed to local development. Later on, we will see Guo He and Guo Yu. And these people, after the Han Dynasty, have contributed to Zhangye. We can say that after the Han Dynasty, we have a very turbulent era for the central China. And a lot of people escaped to Hexi, or we say to Zhangye area. And after that, these kind of scholars have passed down their culture, and this kind of migration helped to keep the traditional culture. So for each palace, maybe we can say people will worship, will pray, and there will be the congestion. So we can see different kind of gods, goddesses, and we have even god animals. So these animals were recorded in traditional Chinese literature, and these animals were closely related to traditional Chinese folklores. And people come to this light array with different perspectives and beliefs, but all people want to have a smooth year. For young people, they may want to have a happy marriage. And some people, they may want to pray for their father and mother for good health. And we can say some couples may want to pray for a baby after years of marriage. So people can seek and go into different palaces to worship, to pray, to get their actually peace or satisfaction. You can see different palaces. What about the style? And for the palaces and construction, they are in the style of Han Dynasty. We can say Zhangye become a part of the central authority during the Han Dynasty. It is about 110 BC. We can say an emperor Han Wudi during the Han Dynasty established governance in Zhangye. So you can see on this wall we have Wang Wei, an outstanding poet in Tang Dynasty. Wang Wei has worked here as a governor of Zhangye area. And Wang Wei has created and composed this poem. And when he was working here, he was totally impressed by this kind of Western culture and Western environment. And we have this important and famous poem, well known in China. And this poem represents the beautiful scene for Western China. And for this poem, it describes Zhangye outside the Great Wall, and Zhangye was such an important locality. And for the whole poem, it shows the people's culture. And Wang Wei actually riding a single cart to the Great Wall and outside. And we can say he went to Zhangye. And back then, we can say Zhangye had two territories, two subordinate territories, and Wang Wei even go to one of these two subordinate territories. And these lines also describe the environment. We have vast amount of desert, and we have this kind of smoke for military purpose. And on this desert, we have a long river, Heihe River. Heihe River was very important. And Wang Wei was also going to a very distant place. And for this whole poem, it shows that for the local governor, it actually governs a vast amount of area. And Wang Wei has close interaction with local military. And Wang Wei has a very good understanding for local custom, local culture, and he feels for the local environment. Therefore, we can say that on the light walls, on the walls, we have different stories. And for the Hexi corridor, the west of Yellow River corridor, this kind of area where Zhangye lies, has very distinct culture, and the Yellow River light array shows this distinct culture. We can say that for culture, it is unique to different localities. So for in Zhangye, this light array, it shows the unique local cultures with unique cultural elements. And on the walls, we can say we mainly focus on the folklore, culture, stories of Zhangye, or we say Hexi corridor. And for ordinary people, it is a way to introduce about the local culture and to raise people's awareness. So many local people, they don't know that there are so many cultural stories. So you can see that halfway through, people may actually go through the wall or go through the barrier. Some people are impatient, and some people even walk backward. So we can say this is not good in terms of people's belief, in terms of cultural requirement. And some of the people get lost. They cannot find the exit. Some people think that they are in the correct direction, but they cannot walk out. So if people go through the walls and barriers, people will get lost. It is like you are walking in a labyrinth. It seems that you have the shortcut, but you cannot find the right way. And you go directly along with the majority of people, and this is the shortest way. This shows people's philosophy. For people's life, smooth or not, you have only one shot. You cannot walk back. You walk on this path, and you can only walk forward. You cannot walk backward, which reminds us that you need to take seriously your each step. You cannot have second chances. And you need to seize your each and every day and seize your each and every step. So this is the underlying philosophy. And this may be what you can understand after walking through the light array. So this is also for the traditional culture of Hexi corridor west of Yellow River. So we can see if people bring their children here, it is also a great chance to learn the local culture. For the traditional culture, we can say on the 5th day of the new year in the lunar calendar, people need to welcome the god of wealth, and people will see away the god of poverty. So you need to welcome the god of wealth. You can have wealth, and you need to also see off the god of poverty to get rid of poverty. You can see we have so many stories, histories, and people in the Hexi corridor. We can see for Zhangye, for the locality, we have sophisticated military culture. In China, from Tang Dynasty, we have these nationwide examinations to choose officials. And in Zhangye, we can say more people excel for the tests for military officials than for civil officials. We can say it is closely related to the geography and location of Zhangye. We can say Zhangye is in this midway of Hexi corridor. It is in the key position, and Zhangye has always been a military basin, very important place, and people actually admire the military force and military strength, and we have so many famous people related to military culture. And we have so many people excelling at the military profession. We can say from the civil officials' perspective, we can say we have different kind of people. And in Zhangye, we can say the first famous person recorded was during the Three Kingdoms era. The Dongzhuo, actually, this figure in the Three Kingdoms era was from Zhangye. And that was the first ever recorded military personnel, famous military person. And from that time on, we can say Zhangye has a continuous flow of many military heroes, military personnel. And in Tang Dynasty, we have a famous, the back then Prime Minister called Zhao. And this kind of person was so famous, and he was a local Zhangye people. And we can say that In Ming and Qing Dynasty, we have also the dignitaries and famous people from Zhangye, both for civil and for military officials.
还会碰到。
一直都会碰到，总共你要走够9个宫才能完整。
So you need to pass through 9 palaces. So while we have this arrangement, we have 9 palaces and 8 directions.
三分之二，三分之二，一半。
这个也是打醋坛
So it is halfway through. This is also a local practice, local convention on the wall.
每年的初八，选择这个日子来点灯。
For each year, on the 8th day of Chinese New Year, we have this light array. Is it a tradition to have the light array? We have different changes. Previously, it was not a preset date. In Han Dynasty, the Lantern Festival was just 1 day, and government officials have 1 day off. It is exactly on the 15th day of the new year. And in Tang Dynasty, we have 3 days off. And in Song Dynasty, we have 10 days off. And in Zhangye, when people appreciated the lights, it was a few days before the Lantern Festival. And for this year, we have such a large scale, and to expand the influence, we adjust the time, and we can say this year the light event begin on the 8th day of the new year. And for next year or for the future, maybe we have the preset date on the 8th day of the new year for the Yellow River light array. And here
上去再近距离的看一下。
we have the god, the Chinese Jupiter, the god of Matchmaker. So you can have a closer look. So you can see that for the statues of gods in the light array, they are of similar size. Apart from this, you can see we have seen the highest god of Taoism. He is larger, but for other gods, they are of similar sizes. It is about, these statues are about 1.5 meter in the sitting position. And for this palace, it worships the god of marriage.
可能很多人会在这里面来求个姻缘。
And many people will come inside this palace to pray for good marriage. Even married couples will come inside this palace to have even better days ahead. And for single man and woman, they will come inside this palace to pray for a marriage. And for the Yellow River light array, we have this palace of the marriage god. It is also a great, actually, hope and aspiration for the happy marriage of love. And we can say in Zhangye, the Yellow River light array is the largest in China, and now we have the certificate and award for the Shanghai China Records Headquarters, which shows that we are the largest light array light event in China. And it is also a way to pool and to utilize the resources, the cultural resources. We can say in Han Dynasty, Zhangye had 10 subordinate counties And
这个地方就是乌兰县的县治。
we can say Zhangye has always been very important in terms of geographies, even since the Han Dynasty. And there was also this county, Wulan. Wulan was the east gate of Zhangye. In ancient times, we go through Wulan County and then to Zhangye. And you can walk through exactly what we step on today. And Wulan County was the east gate of Zhangye. And from this perspective, if we have the light array here, it has also a kind of historical reason. And now we have the carvings. It shows people's habits, traditional customs. So now we have covered about 2/3 of the route. To walk through this kind of light array, it is about 2.4 kilometers. If we adhere to our current speed, it is about 40 minutes walk. And if you go into certain palaces, it will be about 1 hour. And some of the walls even introduce about the delicious food for the Hexi corridor. We know that for northern part of China, people favor wheat. We talk about Zhangye as a place to plant barley and normal wheat. And so this is also from the historical relic site. We have the wheat seed from about 6,000 years ago. From 6,000 years ago, people planted wheat in Zhangye. Previously, people believed that wheat was introduced from Western countries, but ever since we have discovered this kind of relic scene, we believe that China was the original place to grow wheat. And in Zhangye, we mainly rely on wheat and barley for the food. On the 30th, the last day of Chinese Lunar Year, people will eat dumplings. And during the first month of Lunar Year, people will eat various kinds of noodles. And in Zhangye, the agricultural culture as well as the herding culture were intertwined. People also favor the meat of beef or lamb. And as we can say, the stock farming, livestock farming was sophisticated, therefore people have a very excellent quality of beef and lamb in Zhangye. There was once a CCTV show, the PK between Zhangye mayor and Jiuqu mayor of Kunming province. And this Zhangye mayor, he has introduced about Zhangye's specialty food. Many people see that they have this specialty food in Zhangye. And the we can say this kind of wheat it can be cooked in the shape of rice, so people may be confused. But this kind of food is not only delicious, but also can keep you from feeling hungry. And you can also see that we have different kind of lanterns representing different solar terms, and the lanterns also show the musical instruments in ancient China. And a lot of people, they are taking photos here with these lanterns. You can see also the god of land. For the Yellow River light array, it has also incorporated the local community culture. We can say, we talk about 社火. 社 mentioned, 社 represent for the god of land. 火 represent the god of fire. So, for ancient Chinese people, land and fire are so important. Therefore, for the Yellow River light array, we have this palace for the god of land. And in Taoism culture, we can see the god of land is not so high-ranking. So we can say in the Yellow River light array, we worship the god of land, not because of his rank, but because the god of land is closely related to the daily life of Zhangye people. So this is also a specific feature of the Zhangye light array, because we have the palaces for the gods, which are closely related to people's daily life. The god of land is important, and this is also a horse in terms of the zodiac calendar. And we also incorporate the elements of Chinese zodiac signs, zodiac animals. Why we have horse here? During the Han Dynasty, the Han Emperor has established a ranch for the horses. And this horse ranch even exists now as the largest military base for horses in Asia. And this kind of manner adopted by the Han Emperor was so important. Even today, this nowadays horse ranch support about 10,000 horses. And some of the soldiers still need to ride on horses in northwestern China. And even from the Han Dynasty, horses have been very important. And now we are entering into the 8th palace. It worships Confucius, the representing figure for Confucianism. We can say different people come to the light array from different perspectives. And Confucius was the founder of Confucianism, and he is also the god of scholars and intellectuals. During the Han Emperor era, we can say that Confucianism was established as a national priority, which represents the beginning of the rule of Confucianism over 2,000 years in terms of their intellect. Even until today, every Chinese people have the influence of Confucianism in their deeper minds. So for the people who come into this palace, we can say maybe couples with children, they have the wishes for higher scores.
东晋末年武梁时期河西非常有名的2个学者。
So this is two important scholars, Guo Yu, in the Hexi corridor area. It is after the Three Kingdoms era. Back then, the central China was in warring state. And in Hexi corridor, we have peaceful situation, and Guo Yu and Guo Xi, these two scholars have played important roles in preserving Chinese culture. People have different wishes coming into the light array. And people's best wishes are represented here. It is from the passing down of the Chinese traditional culture, and it is also a wealth. And for the Yellow River light array, it is a custom, and to sustain this custom, this practice, it is to sustain the culture. And to sustain the culture, it is to sustain the root for a nation. So why the government focus on the light array? The purpose is to preserve and pass down the distinct, ancient, and excellent traditional culture of China. And for Gansu to have better cultural activities and have better tourist activities, this is also a good way to improve people's livelihood. And if we have many tourists here, it will be a boom to the local economy. So we can say the Yellow River light array is located in Wulan. Now we are in Wulan County, and the purpose is to improve and enhance local economy. Before we have the light array, the young labor force need to emigrate to work. But with the light array, the young labor force can stay at a home and work at the local place. It will help the local people to have better employment and will help with the local economy. And this kind of activity is also a great way to pass down the culture. Therefore, we can say the government, the state is achieving so much with even one manner of stating this light array. If we go through this path, we can go to the exit of the Yellow River light array. The entrance represents Yang in Tai Chi, and the exit represents Yin. And to go through this light array, it is a kind of journey of people's mind, people's inner search. And to go through this array, it is to show our best wishes for the new year. So now we are at the exit, and many people have finished their journey and exit to the gate. And for tonight, it is an important night, a splendid night. And it is also a very happy occasion for the Spring Festival. And here, I want to extend our invitations to all of you. If you have the chance, please go to Hexi Corridor. Please come to Zhangye to see this beautiful light array. Today, we walk you through the light array. We hope that all of you can have a safe, happy life in the new year. Thank you.